Hello, welcome to week 2. You made it. I have to say, week 1, I truly enjoyed all of the emails and the phone calls and the Zoom calls and the videos. They were just so much fun. It was really great to see you, and a lot of you chatting with you one-on-one has been fantastic, because really that's how I learn best. That's how I teach best too, is just speaking with you guys. One of the main concerns that some of you had coming into this class is that it's an online class, and online classes are not always easy, because you don't have anybody with that connection and you're having a hard time, learning information just by reading it and watching videos and stuff. And I have to say, I 100% totally get it. I think online classes are hard. They absolutely are hard. And they're hard to teach too, because they're hard to make that connection with the students. And that's the best part about teaching, is the connection we have with students, right? And so if I don't have that with you and you don't have that with me, we can kind of see that this is it's a little bit bumpier than usual. But I want to say that if there's ever a time that you are feeling overwhelmed or stressed or feel like you're drowning in this class, just call me, just email me. We'll figure something out. Either we can walk through some of the steps of the class, or maybe we can just talk about what's working, what's not working, and then maybe we need to change some things to make things easier for you or more accessible. So just please don't feel afraid to reach out and get some clarification. Now, I have, I prefaced this before, but I'm going to say it again, that this is Mrs. Bullman's class, and she took a sabbatical, and so I'm kind of helping fill in the gaps while she's gone. But what I wanted to keep as true to her class as possible, so it's the most authentic, because anybody else taking her class is going to get the same information, the same videos, the same kind of content, and I didn't want to go too far from the mean on that. So I wanted to make sure we're being true to this class. So that's why you're getting the same information that others have taken her class before have gotten. And also, when she gets it back, I want to make sure we have everything the way it should be. So so that being said, I still am learning the ins and outs of the class and where everything is filed and stuff. So if there happens to be something that I missed, that I didn't turn on or turn off, there's a toggle switch I was missing, just let me know, saying, hey, I don't see this, what are you talking about? And I'll do my best to get that fixed. Okay, so let's go on to this week's topic, research and scientific process. What has it got to do with psychology, and what's it got to do with education? I thought this was an ed class. What are we talking about science in here for? Couple different reasons. So when we talk about scientific research, there's two ways you can think of it. So it can be like research that somebody else has done outside of your classroom, that you're bringing those results into your classroom. For instance, like best practices, reading and math, teachings, like if somebody else was doing that research, they found out, hey, this kind of works, let's incorporate it into your classroom. That would be a scientific research-based process. Another way of doing that is like how you would do it in your classroom. So if you have a student that has a certain behavior or academic level, and you either want to stop that behavior or grow the level, or just help the student with a social situation, you would look at it as an RTI. And I'm assuming you've heard those letters before. RTI is a response to intervention. And that means that we want to know what this child's response is to your intervention of changing or extending that behavior. And we would do that kind of in a research scientific base, right? So when we're talking about scientific research, either it's in your classroom or outside of your classroom that you're bringing in, is that you have objective, systematic, and testable forms that we have to stay true to. Objective meaning it's free from bias. We're not going to, do something just because other people think it's a good idea, or you're being swayed one way or the other by different companies. You're going to do this because it's going to be the best for your students. Systematic, follow the plan, and we all know scientific research has a plan. You've got the scientific method, which we'll see a quick video on later, and things that can be testable, proving something is working or not working. So when we talk, let's move my face here. There we go. So when we talk about research, the scientific research method, like we said, has to be objective, systematic, and testable, which I'm hoping that makes sense to you, that we have to have some standards. And when we're doing that, we have to use a scientific method, because if we have a methodology to these steps that we're doing, we can kind of think about it as the fail-proof way to see if we're doing the right thing. We have the hypothesis, we gather our materials, we're going to try something, and then we look at our conclusion, look at our results, and then what do? We change something, so we go back to that hypothesis again. So for instance, if you were doing research in your classroom, okay, so are my third graders at reading level? September 1st, I'm going to give them a test. That's my hypothesis, right? Are my third graders at reading level that this should be? So I'm going to test them in September, and I'm going to look at the results. I'm going to look at the conclusion. I'm going to look at how many people are on level, how many are off level. Are we higher? Are we lower? What is our standard deviation? What is our mean? What are the variances that we have? And then we're going to try something, response to intervention. We have to have something that they can respond to. Either I increase the time, I increase my strategies, I try something different with my strategies, and then at the end of September, I'm going to re-give that test and hoping that they are back on level, and then look at that results again. So those are kind of just like things that you can think about inside your classroom that you're still using that scientific method on. So now I understand that the scientific method is something that you've heard before, I know, but the video that I have linked after this is meant for review and it's made for children. If you're welcome to steal it and use it in your own classroom some days too. It is not long and it's not arduous, it's just more for review and more for fun. So please give that a look and then we can chat afterwards. So there are going to be a couple of videos linked this week that you will see the different instructor. You'll see Mrs. Bowman. And the reason why I left her instructions in there is that she did such a great job of explaining things that I think that she did it justice. And if I was going to do it, I would just repeat what she said anyway. So what's the point of that? So you will see a couple videos of hers in this week's lessons. So this week you will have two things to read, and I've had a couple of you ask about the quizzes. The quizzes are off of the readings, but I have to tell you they're not off of details in the readings. They're going to be more bigger picture ideas. So what's scientifically based research? That's our first article that I want you to read, and these are all in the file and in content, and they should be linked above for your to-do list for the week. And so basically the questions would be why is research important in our classrooms? And hopefully you'll find the answers in those readings for the week. So I'm not going to be asking like, what adjective did they use in the second line of the third paragraph? No, it's a bigger idea. Because when we look at what we're going to quiz over, I really want you to have the bigger ideas than the little nitpicky ones. So just to be aware of that. And also, you're free to use those when you're taking the quiz as well. The thing that's a little bit difficult with that is that you're not going to be able to read them all, like all the articles, while you're answering the questions of the quiz. You're just not going to have time. But if you need a little refresher and need to go back and look, by all means, that's totally fine. Okay, so I will see you in the next video.